Okay. So that's all fun, and we've got our kind of our background. What's really important for the exam, though? There's just a few simple formulas that I think are important to use. Actually, there's really two formulas that if you know, they're going to help you a lot. And then we'll talk about some of the variations for how you calculate them. The first is basically how do you calculate your present value of benefits, the big AX. That's going to be MX divided by DX. MX, if you recall from the previous slide, was the present value of all of our future debts from that age on. So that was the item that I just highlighted under the curve. It's the present value of all of our future debts. And then the denominator is DX. And in essence, this variable DX is designed to help normalize it and saying we're not starting off at age 0. If we were starting off at age 0, we really wouldn't have to make this adjustment, but since we're starting off later on, we have to reflect the fact that not everybody's made it to this point in time yet. So if we're talking about a whole life benefit for a 35-year-old, we would start with our M of 35, the present value of all future debts, the sum of that at age 35, and then we would divide it by how many people are alive, the present value of active lives at age 35. That denominator, in essence, is sort of normalizing our calculation. Skip ahead to the second section for premiums. Very similar. If we want to calculate our little AX, we're going to use NX over DX. In this case, we said NX is the present value of future lives, sum of that, and then DX again is our normalization variable. We're saying if we start at age 35, what's the actuarial present value of all of those future lives at age from that point forward, and then we'll divide it by how many people are actually alive at age 35. If that was all it was, if that was the only trick you would need, you probably wouldn't need a 30-minute session to talk through it, right? You just have two formulas. Those formulas actually show up in the outline when we talk about qualification for life insurance. You should see that AX, big AX, and little AX are in the formulas in there. But what I found is that over the years, the book, or the exams, I should say, use some tricks that you actually need to know some of the commutation function tricks in order to work them. So let's talk about what some of those tricks are. And this is where hopefully the graphs will help you out a little bit here. Let's say you're looking at a 20-year term insurance policy, and you want to know what your present value of future benefits is going to be. Well, you basically want to look at the death benefits that are going to be paid over 20 years, right? So I'm going to blow up our graph here where we looked at the present value of future deaths. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger to make it easier to see. So let's say we've got our graph here of CX. I'm going to make it bigger so that we can see it. Actually, let me make it go all the way out. And let's say we're going to pick it up here at age 35. Now remember we said that when we calculated our value of MX, so MX was going to look at the entire slope, entire summation, all the way out, right? So the value shaded in yellow is going to be all of MX, all of our future benefits. M35 encompasses everything, right? But if we're talking about a term insurance policy, we don't want the full all the way out to infinity, do we? We just are interested in looking at the benefits for the first 20 years, right? So if we were going to simplify this, if we just want to look at the first 20 years, we would want want to stop here at age 55, right? We would only want to show the benefits for the period to the left of the dotted line there, right? So we can actually use another commutation function to try to get to what's not shaded in green here. Okay? What's that value shaded in green? Isn't that just M of 55? Right? It's the present value of future deaths for age 55. So if we subtract that value, M55, from M35, we can get the benefits for a 20-year term, right? So what I'm saying is M35 is the total amount in yellow. If we subtract out M55, we're only going to get the benefits for the first 20 years, right? Which is what we wanted for a 20-year term.